Welcome everyone, Jim Williams here, coming to you from the beautiful paradise of Central Florida, JWW on the Move. Today's adventure is part 2 in our chronological history of our 10-day trip Adam and I made back in May of 2021. And today, part 1 was Aberdeen, Mississippi, where I was born and raised. And then I went off to college in the fall of 1967. And in this part 2, I'm going to show you the campus where I went to college. Now, there's a few other things scattered in there, but that's the main focus of today's video. Let's get started.
On the road. Yep. Father and son road trip for posterity.
I was going to tell you that this is where we first lived, and we didn't have any electricity, and I learned to read by candlelight using my McGuffey reader.
You were going to tell me that?
I was, but I'm not going to tell you that now.
That's not true.
That's not true at all.
That is a fabrication. However, we are going to go by factual places.
Yes, we are.
That I have no reference point on.
Yes.
This is before me, but the events of this area led to me
eventually
led to me standing here. This is going to be a walk through your beginning years with my mom, your wife, and an emotional step back in time, if you will.
Conyers, it was the first ministry I had as a youth minister. We're going to go out by the church building. We found it on the Google Earth. And also I discovered
right over
the
here.
Jewelry store here in Conyers.
We'll go over
where
there.
I bought your mother's engagement and wedding set rings.
That is cool.
And we're going to go by there and see that. Then we're going to go back into where I went to college and a couple other things. Just going to be a fun day.
All right, inviting you to join me and my dad. Shall you? Nailed it. What year would it have been if you had to put an estimate on it?
It would have been somewhere in 1968.
68.
1968.
Is this ringing a bell at all, turning this corner and walking up to the jewelry shop? Since 1949.
That business has been in business since 49, yep.
This is the place.
We came in 68, and your mother's wedding band and engagement ring was a set. She now has a band like this. We have matching bands now, but this is where I bought that ring.
Wow. Still exists all these years later. You think they still sell wedding bands?
I would bet they probably do. Let's see if anybody remembers me.
You think they might? They might.
They might. Standing out in front of your store.
Oh, hey, Dad, look, we see it quite often, but it's okay. That's what we like.
In 1968,
Uh-huh.
I came into this store and bought my fiance's wedding band.
Oh.
And we're on a trip going back in time. This is my son.
Okay.
And just wanted to come out and see if the place was even still here.
It is. And actually my grandmother, Miss Barnes, that started the business there in 49.
I see.
She's still living.
Wow.
She will be 93 in July. My granddaddy, we lost him 8 years ago. But,
Pretty neat. And you asked if they had any sort of record from back then.
I was just hoping against hope maybe they actually had like a paper receipt from 1968 where maybe I signed for it or whatever I did. But the lady explained that about 15 years ago they took everything. Her grandmother started the store. They took everything that her grandmother had saved all through the years and shredded everything. So
Now everything's digital now.
I suppose
No paper trail anymore.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. So next we're going to go over to the church you were a youth minister at.
I was a youth minister there, yes. Let's go. Yeah, we're actually, this is the Bethel Christian Church. We're actually coming in from what now is the back side of the building. I don't remember this coming in from this direction. There's another road in front of the building we'll get to in just a second that bears the name of the church, Bethel Road. And that was always the entrance that we always came in. I'll explain something about the building here in a moment when we get around. Now this building here is the main building, or was the main building when I was here. I became the youth minister here in 1968. And where that second building is over there was a house. When the church originally started in a house. By the time I came on the scene, they had built this big brick building here for the sanctuary and classrooms. The basement had classrooms and so on. But they also still used the house for youth meetings and various and sundry activities.
So this was the first ministry that you ever served at?
First ministry, I was a youth minister here for about 1.5 years.
You were going to Atlanta Christian College at that time?
I was, and we'll be going to that campus here shortly.
So you'd commute over here on Sundays, Wednesdays?
About a 45-minute to hour drive one way, yeah. And but before that, before I was the youth minister, that first year of college, this congregation sponsored a hayride for the freshman class. And that was your mother and my first date. We came out on a bus, got here to the church building. They had 2 vehicles arranged for hayride. We went off down this road, Bethel Road, out into some, I don't know, gosh knows where. Wound up at a member's house. They had a cookout. That's back in the day when I played the guitar and I was one of the entertainers and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. But then I started getting sick to my stomach. So by the time we got back here to the church building to go back home on the bus, I was pretty well sick.
A memorable first date for Mom, I'm sure.
By the time we got down the road that we rode in on, they had to stop the bus so I could get off the bus and throw up. I was trying to choose my word wisely there.
Extinguish what was in what you didn't want in you anymore.
I expelled my lunch, or the evening hot dogs and hamburgers. Anyway,
it didn't affect Mom's decision to stay with you, however.
It wasn't funny, but what's funny about it is that 2 or 3 of us on the bus were all sick. Turned out it was food poisoning that a bunch of us had gotten at dinner earlier in the evening back over at the college.
Wow.
And half the boys' dorm was down that night with food poisoning, including me. So anyway, that happened. That's one of the...
And you remember, so that all happened before you came to be a youth minister.
That's correct, yes.
But that's how you heard about this place.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
In a roundabout way.
That was my first experience, and then later in 1968, I came out to be the youth minister here, yeah.
So the house is now gone, and now it's just this building over here?
Correct.
Tore the house down. Definitely see where it was added on.
A lot of years, a lot of memories.
What would be next from this spot?
We're going to go back into East Point, and we're going to go to the campus where I went to college.
Seem to be some remnants here. Look at this, some remnants. And I know what you're going to show. We have some photographs that we're going to match up. And this, yeah, I guess it'd be better just to give the example of what we're looking at. You got the photograph.
Still some of the original bricks. Look at that. Pieces of the bricks.
Sure is.
Maybe this is even still in the ground. Yeah, look at that.
Let's see the little evidence here.
Okay, this is your mom, and this is where the brick foundation of the college sign used to be. And if you'll notice off on the right-hand side of the frame of the picture is a building. That is the men's dorm around the corner, which you can see through the foliage yonder.
Right over the hill.
That's it. That's the place.
This is it.
This is the hill, and there's that telephone pole.
My goodness, I have seen this photograph in the photo album so many times. Never thought I'd be standing here reliving this, even though I wasn't in existence at that point in my memory, because just seeing this, you know, thumbing through your guys' photo albums.
Look at the size of that pine tree.
Gosh!
It used to be a seedling.
It was a seedling. That is incredible. Look at Mama there.
Isn't she beautiful?
She was. Look at that.
Yes, yes.
My goodness. There's some little mementos here all along, some bricks.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you or I would probably enjoy taking a souvenir of a brick. If you took the brick back to Mom, she would find no enjoyment in having that on a shelf.
Or so hanging it on the wall, maybe.
We're just going to leave these here.
Now we're still standing in the same spot that we were when we looked at the sign where your mother was sitting. We're looking back behind us there, and you'll see a church building on the corner. That used to be a Christian church associated with the college, and our whole student body would go over there on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our chapel program. That's where we had our chapel services there. This building here did not exist when I was in school here. This was built after I graduated, but we would come out of this building over here when it was time for chapel, and we would walk through all those pine trees over to the church building for chapel, and then after chapel was over, we would come back and go back to class. Back in the day.
My goodness. And the school is no longer located on this property anymore.
The school I went to is no longer located on this facility, this property. The name of the school changed from Atlanta Christian College to Point University. And no longer is it located here in East Point, Georgia. It moved to the western part of Georgia, called a place called West Point, Georgia.
Okay. So there still is a point.
And that's the point.
You know what's very interesting? This gentleman just pulled up. Class of '89. Dad told him what year he was here. He's doing some reminiscing also. How cool is that? How random. Dad's sharing a memory with another alumnus. That is so neat. It's just neat how things work out. Dad's really enjoying this a lot. He really is. I'm guessing this is not the original signage, but the names are the same.
The names are the same. Of course, you can see by the arrow that they're pointing to the new library over yonder in the shade trees.
Right.
There. But the, like I said, in '67 when I came, that was the library there.
Dodson Dorm. And they have a gymnasium room.
They do have a gymnasium. We will go see it in a minute. First,
yes,
I want to show you another picture up here of your mom. I took lots of pictures of your mom.
It's a good thing that you did. I've been thinking about on this trip, if you had not had the wherewithal to take just a couple of photos, not a lot, but some of those photos helped us match up.
That's right.
Through the tenure of this 10-day road trip. Just one simple photo gave us a lot of clues to find a lot of places.
It did. Now here are two photographs of your mom. Here she's leaning on a brick configuration. Here she's sitting on it. I guess I helped her get up there. Gosh, I can't imagine she jumped up there. Anyway, we found the brick configuration back here.
Right over there.
Yeah, see if we can make our way back there.
Through the shrubs. Careful. Careful, Dad.
Whoa.
Careful.
I don't remember.
You know, I found I'm going to go this way.
Okay.
I'm going to walk around. This seems a little easier.
Yes, this looks like I could get punctured.
Oh, it sure is. Look at this.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy cow, that is cool. Oh my.
There's the little light bulb lantern thing up there. There's the little archy place where your mom is sitting.
Look at that.
And none of the foliage was here then. Because I was standing about where this bush is when I took that picture. How about that?
53 years ago?
Something like that, yep.
That's incredible. Look at that. That is something else, Dad. Another photo that I've seen my whole life in the photo albums. Never thought I'd be standing at the spot. Nor, you probably never thought you'd return here
I never dreamed
to the spot of that photo.
Nope. Never dreamed.
Was that prior to you guys getting married? Were you guys just engaged?
Yeah, this was probably our freshman year.
You think you had given the engagement ring by that point?
No.
So,
we didn't give her the ring till 68.
Wow.
The reason I say probably, this was the first year, because I didn't have a car. So the only thing to do after church on a Sunday, because we're dressed for church, was hang out on campus. So that's what we did that day.
That is so neat. Anything else from this same spot?
Just to show you a couple of other things here, and I don't have a picture of this, but this was the main entrance into the administration building. There were a couple of other entrances. This was the main entrance. If a visitor came to the campus to go into the administration building, this is where they would come in. We had other entrances when students were in the classrooms over here. We could come in another direction. This was the main classroom area. A couple of other places around the campus they had classes, but this was the main classroom area. This was the main entrance in and out. There's another entrance in and out on the other side of the building. I probably have been in every one of these classrooms at one point in time. I doubt that we can get in. Now this is one of the two girls' dorms here.
Is this where Mom was staying?
No, this is not the one your mom was in. Your mom was in this one over here. And I'll tell you about that in just a second. First I want to show you this bridge.
Oh, we have photos of this bridge.
We do indeed.
My goodness, that's the same bridge?
Same bridge.
Look at that. I know exactly the photo you're going to pull up next.
Let's go over here and get it in frame.
It has a name. The bridge has a name. Oh no, it's a trench. Class of 66. What class were you, Dad?
60. I came in 67.
So this would have been a year before. This bridge
Built this before that,
was
yeah.
1 year before. So this bridge is still the same bridge over this little gully here.
Okay, here's that angle. There's your mom and me. Apparently we had been to some kind of a banquet.
Wow.
Or we were going to a banquet.
Okay, it looks as if the bridge has been redone.
Yeah, they've done the
It's a different bridge.
different railing.
That is a different bridge. Look, there's steps on that one. So this one has steps. So
That's true. They've rebuilt
since 67, they have rebuilt it. But it was over this little gully.
Still the bridge and still the gully.
And that's the building. As you
That's
can
Head
see.
Hall. Head Hall was your mom's dorm.
Because you can see right here, the little notches on the side there. And
Uh-huh.
that door.
That's it.
And the tree.
Yeah.
The split tree.
The same split
The
fork tree.
same split tree.
It sure is. Pretty amazing.
Same awning, everything. From this was 67?
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, this is 68.
Okay, yeah, you got the date stamp. 1968, 51 years ago. My mom and dad would have been standing right here with that split tree facing the photographer. Any recollection of who might have taken that photo?
No.
A classmate of some sort?
I'm sure it was.
Standing this way, classmate with the camera right there on the bridge. This is blowing my mind. I'm sure blowing Dad's mind even more than mine, because he's the one with the memories.
Tell the story of my freshman year. You heard me tell the story my freshman year. I'm coming out of the dining hall. That's what the first floor of this building was, the dining hall.
That was the dining area.
And you've heard me tell of coming out of the dining hall, coming up this sidewalk. This is the sidewalk. And I met the dean of students. I was prone to wearing football jerseys to class. So Mr. Hendrickson, is his name, meets me on the walkway and says, Mr. Williams, would you like to read the student handbook? And I said, no, not really. He said, well, let me encourage you to read the student handbook because you don't need to be wearing football jerseys to class. You need to wear a dress shirt of some sort. So I remember that interesting conversation we had right here on this sidewalk.
I can picture it happening.
Yeah, the second story was the girls' dorm. First story was a lounge, dining hall, and the residence of the lady who was the overseer of the head hall. And I remember when they poured the concrete on this sidewalk going down to that building there.
Oh, you recall this concrete slab, this is the sidewalk.
Right here. Now it looks like through the years they've widened it because it was much narrower as I remember.
That's the administration building ahead.
Down here, no. This, got a picture for you. This is your mom and me right in front of that. Of course, it's been rebuilt and reconfigured and new columns and all that. But that, son, that is the Gymnasium.
This must be nothing like a good warm-up when you're on the case. Oh, wow. You're right. Let's see the photo one more time. How the front has been completely reconfigured, like you said. You got a couple of photographs, but the pillars are still there.
They're pillars, but they're not round. I mean, they're not square.
The same pillars. Oh, you're right.
Plus, they've glass fronted in the.
That's not the same. We're going to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, just glass fronted it in.
Where we played our basketball games. Various.
You were on the basketball team.
And your mom was a cheerleader. All my life I wanted to date a cheerleader. Finally, I got the opportunity.
You married a cheerleader.
I even married a cheerleader.
Think about that. That's cool.
The most beautiful girl in our class. Our freshman year, this was the gathering spot. After lunch in the afternoon, those of us that didn't yet have jobs, we would all hang out down here, play ping pong, had 2 or 3 ping pong tables, shot hoops. There was a stage for different kinds of performances.
Where was your dorm?
That's where we're going to go.
We're going that way.
Yeah.
So Mama's dorm was over here.
Yep.
The way we walked in, the bridge is over there. This would be the Gymnasium room. And your dorm would be down this pathway.
Down that pathway. Now let's look at one.
So they had boys on this side, girls on the other side of the campus.
That's correct.
They still down there?
Yep.
Tennis courts?
Yep.
Sure are.
Yes, your mom and I used to play tennis back here every once in a while. Not a lot, but some.
Down there at the bottom of the hill, the tennis courts. Doesn't look like they've been used in a while.
Been a while. Now this used to be a working parking lot back in the day. I see they have it gated off back there. They probably don't use it for that anymore. Now, after 50 years of growth, you can't tell it, but there used to be a well-worn path that kind of went down through the woods here, wound around the terrain, and came out over in the parking lot at the boys' dorm.
That was a little shortcut you would take back to your accommodations.
Exactly.
How many roommates did you have in that room?
Well, my first year I only had one. And then the second semester, there were 4 of us that roomed together. We changed rooms, took on other roommates, and finished out the year, the 4 of us. Myself, Sid, Gary, and Wayne.
Dated December 67. Wow, 67 this is.
Yep, freshman year.
She's wearing the same outfit as over in front of the other place with the grown over area where she was sitting up on the brick wall.
Yep.
So that would have been 67 also. And this was your dorm, which appears to be completely abandoned and boarded up at this time.
Yes, it does appear to be.
The windows are all wooded up.
And look, they have removed the huge walkway out front.
The sidewalk walkway
that went out to the street.
To the road. Now you didn't use the front entrance because that would have been not a shortcut through the woods.
Right.
This was the entrance over here. Not photographed. You photographed the front entrance.
Right.
How many years were you in this room?
Let's see, my freshman year, halfway through my sophomore year, and the second semester of my sophomore year, me and one of my buddies, that was my roommate, we rented a house.
Oh.
Which I have no idea where that is. But we finished out that second sophomore year and living in a house.
And then you and Mom moved into your first house here in town after that?
Actually, we got married in July. School year ended in May. Your mom went back to Martinsville, Virginia to get ready for the wedding. I lived in the apartment that we rented. We went ahead and rented an apartment, and I stayed there until we got married, and then we moved in after I got married. And that's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope these videos are meaningful for you. Obviously, we're focusing some on Adam in the beginning of my re-entry into YouTube, and the videos I'm putting in chronological order, the videos that we made back in 2021, so that you can make some sense out of them as you watch them from one day to the next as we made our trip. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for loving us and all the ways you've poured out that love toward us since we lost Adam. Thank you for loving our son. God bless. And if the Lord wills, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Wow.
Great.